if I ask you, who is Allah?
Or maybe what is Allah?
No, who is Allah?
Yeah, what I would probably say like the physical embodiment of that creative energy, I guess. Like,
let me ask you this: when you hear the word Allah, what do you think of? What do you think when you hear that word itself?
God and man.
Okay. What group of people you hear using that word?
For the most part, Muslim.
Okay, Muslims. Do you know why they use it? Okay. If you ever listen to the Nation of Islam, right? I don't know if you ever listen to Farrakhan and all of them, or 5%. I don't know if you know who 5%ers are, the gods and goddesses. They'll say things like God Allah, or Allah God. You've heard that before? There's no such thing. And that's what if you read the Quran translated by Muslims, and they'll translate where it says Allah, they'll put God. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. And the master teacher, we put out a book. The master teacher put out a book back in 1971. And you know the name of the book? 1971. Look at that date, right? 1971. The name of the book is Why Allah Should Not Be Called God. Because Allah is not a name. Allah is an attribute. It's an attribute. So we write it down real quick. So you got La. And so what it is you got this prefix, and then you got La. Okay? It's an attribute. It's actually, we taught it's your breath. It's not a name. It can't be translated. You can't translate Allah to equal God. There's no such thing. Allah is an attribute. It's your breath. That's why when you read in the Bible and it said that God took man, shaped man of the dust of the earth, right? And breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And so man became a living soul by way of the what? The breath. Allah. Or as Sufis, that's who the Muslims today who comprehend this principle, and they'll chant this term, they call it who? What? Hua. Same thing. Hua. And so they have a chant. And if you look this up, whether it be Allah or Hua, right? That Sufis of the Sufi Muslims chant this. Scientists will tell you today they actually recorded the tone of the sun, the frequency that the sun puts out, and with that frequency, what does it translate in sound? And they say it translated as ha. They actually say that for those who want to look it up. It translates to that. That's the tone. That's the tone that we were taught as Muslim. What is Muslim? Muslim, you ask those paralyzed, they'll say, one who submits. No, it's not. That's not what it means. The word mu, and salam. Mu means one of, salam means peace. That's what it means. One who is of peace. And so what we used to teach, that the black woman and the black man are Muslims by nature. We are the peaceful people by nature. We're Muslim by nature. And we acknowledge Allah because we acknowledge the law, which is called the source. We just said the source. right? Or whatever, however you spell that word, but the source of all existence, because we taught that Allah meant the all, which was absolute nature. It was absolute nature. So this is true Islam. What I'm explaining to you right now, this is what Rasulullah Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, was teaching. That you had to get back in tune with your natural nature. You fell away from your natural nature and you started worshiping your ancestors. That's what he was trying to explain to the black man and black woman at that time, and to humanity as a whole. That you started worshiping objects. Fire, earth, your grandfather, your great-grandmother. Like people go to a Michael Jackson concert. They used to do that. They go to a Michael Jackson concert. As soon as they see him on stage, they pass and it's like their whole life is just like, I'm ready to die and go to heaven because I see Michael Jackson perform. It's idol worshiping. And it got so bad where people forgot that they gave credit to their ancestors and forgot you are your ancestor. You are the living God today. So when you, as Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. And people forgot that. And so they just started worshiping their ancestors, and they got away from the fact that they were their ancestors. You are your mother and father. You're the personification of your mother and your father in the flesh. So your father didn't die because you exist. Your mother didn't die because you exist. So what are you worshiping? Yourself. And people, they got away from that, and that's what Muhammad was trying to explain. You got to get back to knowledge of yourself. You came from the same source that you're worshiping. You are that created being. You are the God. You are a God. You. But you're not the all. You're part of the all. But you're not the all. Because the all is. And so you as a part of all, you're a God within the all. So you don't need to be worshiping other gods who are nothing. They're your family members. You acknowledge them. You give thanks to them. You don't forget them. So you have a videotape of your grandparents, and you had a birthday party, and you put on that tape because your grandparents, let's say they passed away or whatever, and you remember them, but you don't worship them to the point where you lose identity of who and what you are. And that's what Muhammad was teaching. But what happened? Like everything else, when black people create something, foreigners come in, they take it,
mess it up,
put
and
their
don't
ingredients in it.
care.
Yeah, they put their ingredients in it, and then they spill it back out to the world and say they created it, and it's nothing what we were saying. They completely change it all up. They twist it upside down. Like I said to the other day, where I said, we come out with the Michael Jackson and Jackson 5, what the Caucasian do? They come out with the Osmond family. Yeah.
They try to act like they're equal.
We come out with New Edition, what the Caucasian do? They come out with New Kids on the Block. And so they always copying us. And it's never the same. When you copy something, it's always less than the original.
Diluted.
Yeah. It's always less than the original. It's never the same. And so that's what they did. They took our culture, and what all Muhammad was teaching was Hua. And this is the principle that goes back to ancient Kemet. The ancient creative God called Hu. We said Hu in ancient Egypt. Hu, he. Which was the male and female principle of the creative force. And they said there was three principles of the creative force, which was Hu-He, Sia, and Hika. He-Ka. Hika represented the magnetic particles of creation, how creation just creates suns, planets, stars, galaxies, whatever, magically, right? By way of Siha, perception, thought. by way of thought. Creation, the all is mind, is mental. The all is mental. Everything is mental. Everything is thought. And Hor is the creative force. It's a wind. It's the motion of creation, because everything in creation moves. So you have this thinking, creative force that moves, and scientists today call it dark matter. Dark matter, and it's a force. It's a creating force. Thinking, creation force that's moving throughout the universe, and this is how the suns are birthed. Suns are born out of dark matter, and that's the story they talk about Atum Re in ancient Kemet. That Atum Re came out of the waters of Nu. The waters of Nu is nothing but dark matter, dark energy, and Atum Re comes out of the waters of Nu by way of the black hole. The female womb is considered the black hole. And so suns are come out of we call supermassive black holes. These supermassive black holes form, and then they create what is known as your first alpha star. That's why if you look up in science journals and dealing with astronomy, they'll tell you that at the center of galaxies, there's a black hole, and guess what's near the black hole? An alpha star, a humongous, gigantic sun, like super big. Like the sun, the alpha star is so big it covers this whole solar system.
Yeah, they kind of show that kind of when they're showing the Milky Way galaxy, because when you see it from a distance, you always see some giant sun in the center, and then all the little ones like surrounding it, and it's like in a
alpha star is what. In the center of a galaxy, the alpha star is what creates all the other stars, basically, and then those other stars create solar systems. That's how our universe is grown and birthed. It comes from this mega super duper star, basically, and then the stars create stars, and that's a whole other discussion. But that's what it is. So all Muhammad was doing was trying to correct what the Caucasian had messed up with Christianity and pushing his worship Jesus when you was the Christ. That's what the teaching was. You was Horus. That's why the ancient Egyptian pharaohs were considered Horus. They were living gods in the flesh. They were the personification of this God-like human being. Basically, is what they used to say. So it was God on earth, and that's where the Caucasians got that from. Jesus was God on earth, and that came from that black man, the African man, who was God on earth. That's why the Romans started calling themselves gods. Like Julius Caesar became God. Basically, he crowned himself. He was the living God on earth. Him and Mark Antony, all those guys. But that's an African principle. That man is God. The black woman is God, which is what we taught. We taught first the black woman was God, and the black man came by way of the black woman, and the black man was God as well. And we came out of the all, which was the creative force. And we said it was a tone, a frequency, because everything in nature vibrates, tone, frequency.